Dr. Niranjan Joshi Garu, Program in Charge of Bioregional Entrepreneurship at Center at CCAMP. So over to you, Niranjan sir. You can start sharing your screen and we can quickly start.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Arvind, and thanks to IIIT Hyderabad for organizing this wonderful activity. I think probably a month and a half has gone in terms of designing and developing this. So also thanks to Arvind for being patient with us with respect to both conforming to the format as well as also to be sending set of things on time and so on. So thank you so much, Arvind and IIIT Hyderabad. Also thanks in order to Mighty Startup Hub. I think they have brought us all together on a wonderful platform, and I believe that some of the experience and the insights that we have developed at CCAMP over a period of last decade or so is something that I would like to share, and I hope that it will be helpful to all of you. Apologies for the mask. I have another colleague in the room as well. So as per the rules of the institute, I will have to wear it. Let me just share my presentation. Just let me know, Arvind, if you are able to see it.
It's visible.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. My name is Niranjan Joshi. I'm program in charge back at CCAMP. And today, the topic that I have been given is growth programs, acceleration and advancement. While I will speak on the specific topic, I think a short introduction to CCAMP. I'm not sure if how many of you have interacted us before this, but Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, we are a department of Biotechnology, Government of India initiative. We are located in Bangalore, and our mandate is to enable cutting-edge bioscience research and innovation, as well as entrepreneurship through two major arms, high-end technology platforms and life science innovation and entrepreneurship. So I will explain some of the activities that we do, and one of the reasons I would like you to do that is because this provides a very good context as to some of the insights that I'm going to share with you, some of our practical experiences. The development and the activities of CCAMP are directly connected and associated with the insights that we have been able to develop and share with you. So a short introduction about our activities. We provide funding through grant and seed funding schemes we have partnered with many of the government agencies. I understand yesterday you had a session on funding, and there are many of the agencies that were mentioned, and we work extensively with them. For example, Biotechnology Ignition Grant with BIRAC, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council. We provide bio-incubation, state-of-the-art furnished laboratory space, a plug-and-play space. However, what we really take pride in and we put emphasis on is the mentorship, or as Meera said, coaching. I think I agree with her with respect to the meaning that somebody who has done it before, if somebody trains you in that, I think that is something that is absolutely an important one. Just to confirm with the technical jargon and the terminology, we provide extensive scientific, technical, and business mentorship. We have a network of over 200 mentors across the country, which we have been able to develop over a decade or so. Our offerings include accelerator as well as advancement programs, something that I'm going to talk a little more later. So I will park it at this point of time. Entrepreneurship development programs, we have large kind of broad pan-India footprint programs such as BIRAC Regional Entrepreneurship Center. We organize many sets of activities, right from the students about the awareness to the experienced entrepreneurs, investments, and related programs, something that we do through such entrepreneurship development programs. Very importantly, we also provide access to high-end technology platforms. We have more than 15 technology platforms, which include cryo-electron microscopy, mass spectrometry, NMR, next generation sequencing, and so on. Now, this is something that we do provide not only to the startups, but also to the academic innovators. And for us, the scale of innovation, as again, referring to the Mira's description, I think innovation that starts in the academia, we try to translate that seamlessly to the startup ventures and to the growing of those ventures. So therefore, providing access to high-end technology platforms to the academic as well as startup innovators is an important integral part of CCAMP's activities. And we provide this access for the academic and startup innovators from across the country. They need not have to be on our campus or in Bangalore for that matter. They can be anywhere in the country, and we have developed a system over a decade now wherein we not only help them in terms of running their experiments, but also in terms of training them so that when they grow and they have their own equipments, they can confidently and seamlessly take those activities back in their facilities. So that is another important aspect that CCAMP works on. We also have a very thriving discovery to innovation accelerator, wherein we help academic innovators take their discoveries to the make them industry ready, and then help them take it to the industry or help them start ventures using that. We have a team which helps which bridges the gap where the academic research ends and where the industry is ready to take it up. The gap between that is something that we work on. We help develop the intellectual property, help develop a technology that is readily that can be readily taken up by the industry, and then we try to connect specific kind of possible industry partners or the startup partners with the academic innovators so that the discovery can be translated seamlessly. We have IP and technology transfer office at CCAMP. Very important aspect, especially when you are developing a technology. It's not, you don't turn up at the technology transfer or the IP office when you have done everything and then you probably start thinking about it. But for us, the IP and the technology transfer process begins right when you are in the process of developing your technology. And many times we have seen that actually it makes an indelible mark on your technology development because of certain IP as well as regulatory kind of requirements. You might actually take a different trajectory of developing technology, and therefore having IP and TTO office as an integral part of the organization has been very important. Over last 3 to 4 years, we have also started developing programs. Already we are in the life sciences, and for rest of the kind of ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem, we already are a sector specific and a domain specific kind of organization. But within life sciences, we have many a kind of large spectrum of subdomains. I think there is some disturbance in terms of
स्टिकर नहीं दिया अभी इमरजेंसी में है अभी एडमिशन चल रहा है सीटी स्कैन को लेके गया पेशेंट है मैं
Okay, I'll just continue. Arvind, maybe if possible, if you can mute the specific person. So we have also started developing activities within the specific subdomains of life sciences, which range from healthcare to medical devices to digital health to agri-biotechnology to industrial biotechnology, water, sanitation, clean energy, and so on. So it's a very broad spectrum that we look at. And given our decade-long experience, now we have also started looking at the sector or the theme-specific kind of activities. Some of the activities that we will discuss little later in the presentation. But to mention, notable mention is Center of Excellence in Agri Innovation in partnership with the Government of Karnataka. So I think these are the broad kind of set of activities that we do, and through these activities and through a decade-long experience, we have developed many insights, and that is something that I'm hoping to share with you today. I will try to be more practical in terms of giving you insights and inputs. I think Meera has wonderfully given a larger, broader picture. So I probably will try to avoid those bits in repetition in my presentation. As Meera mentioned in previous presentation, I think much depends on the partners we work with. We cannot work in silos. We cannot work in isolation. And our association with a large number of partners, governmental as well as non-governmental, has enabled us to be able to kind of generate, to be able to scale our activities, to be able to reach to almost entire country. In fact, some of our programs, we have been able to reach to 34 states and union territories in the country, something of an achievement that we take great pride in. So I think this is possible because of the large partner network that we have kind of pieced together over years of kind of work and activities. And that is something that we heavily recommend that please do so. And Mighty Startup Hub and this platform forum is something that is an important kind of place where you can start doing that. Just a quick snapshot of what we have been able to achieve over last 10 years now. We have now, our portfolio is almost 200 plus. We have funded, incubated, mentored 200 plus startups within deep science, deep tech, life sciences domain. 70 of them now have raised follow-on funding to the tune of 770 crores plus. And that is stands as the testimony to the kind of efforts that CCAMP has been able to put in. Again, I'm referring to Meera's some of the nice references. Money comes last, and if the 770 crores is the last kind of bit in the process, I think we probably have been able to get the first 4 M's also quite well. 20 plus, given the long gestation period of the life science healthcare products, I think we have more than 20 products in the market. Many of them actually got accelerated over last 6 to 8 months during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have, our startups have put in more than 180 plus patents. And that is something that we have been able to impact over a decade or so. Our portfolio is very diverse within life sciences. It goes right from the infectious diseases, antimicrobial resistance, molecular biology, oncology, medtech, medical devices, non-communicable diseases, maternal and child health, and so on. So this is a kind of rich experience that from which we have been able to draw our insights. And I just wanted to give you this snapshot so that you know the context of the insights that I'm going to share with you. So coming to the today's topic, the growth programs. Growth programs require us to understand what is the growth trajectory, from where are we going to grow, what is our trajectory. I think there have been multiple terminologies, there have been multiple ways in which this can be presented. The way I have put it is there are 4 stages we broadly see, and this is something, it is not specific to life sciences. It can even be kind of generalized across different domains. There are 4 main stages: proof of science, proof of technology, proof of business, and proof of scale. They tend to be little too broad in terms of, and there are more granular kind of stages that are required, because if you want to help startup grow, you need to know where they are at the baseline, and you need to know where you need to put them and in how much time. I think that is one of the reasons why we need to know what are the growth trajectories, what are the growth levels. So on one scale, you have proof of science, technology, business, and scale. On the other side, it's the same scale, but I have just divided it into different granularity. It goes from idea, proof of concept, limited scale validation, full scale validation, production readiness, market entry, and then market scaling. So these are the trajectories. And when we are, when any startup comes to us, whether for incubation or for the growth programs, uh, or we design a program, we essentially are saying that we need to push the startup the way this rocket is kind of going up from one orbit to the other orbit. We need to push that startup from one stage, growth trajectory, growth stage, to the next stage. And the program that we are going to define will be dependent on from which stage 1 to stage 2 we are going to push it. And that is one of the reasons why I just wanted to cover this part. Okay, so that's one thing. On one side, we have startup, and they have their stage of venture, stage of growth, or trajectory of growth. On the other side, what can you do about it? How can you help? There are spectrum of interventions, and I don't have to go through all of these terminologies. I think probably most of us do this as our a kind of day in, day out activity. It starts on one end, a simple activity as workshop, to the more intense activities increasingly, such as hands-on clinics, group mentoring, boot camps, accelerators, and advancement programs. And the effort continuously throughout all this is, the objective is essentially to help the venture scale and make them sustainable. I'm using both the kind of objectives here, partly because in certain cases where you are looking at social entrepreneurship, the scaling in terms of revenues, the scaling in terms of the profits may not be your ultimate objective. To be able to deliver the impact is also important. However, they still need to be sustainable, and therefore the ultimate aim and the objective, if you keep at it, the North Star, if you want to want to keep it as scale and sustainability. I think these are the tools, these are the interventions that we have. They are different, they change in terms of the amount of efforts you put, in terms of the time you put in. For example, workshops could be as less small, short as probably an hour or so. Whereas as you go forward, probably the boot camps, a few days, accelerator programs, a few months, and then finally some of the most kind of deep dive interventions, the advancement programs, it probably the year is something that we have seen. However, at that stage, the success and the graduation is a very kind of a fuzzy boundary. Once they are able to take care of themselves, they graduate. Even though some of, in certain way, the amount of intervention, amount of interactions from the incubator end with the startup continues, it probably comes into picture only in certain cases. And therefore, I have mentioned the years, but I think the longest program that we have at our at CCAMP, I would say, is about 12 to 18 months. Beyond that, we do not have any structured design program. It's a case by case kind of support, or the post graduation support that we provide to the startup. On the other side, you also see, because as an incubator, you also have to continuously keep on showing the scale. You cannot say that, okay, I have one great startup and that is all that I have been able to do. So I think the size, the group, the cohort, the portfolio, the size of that also matters. And the interventions that I have mentioned here, they vary from the community to the cohort. Community is a very large. Some of the kind of activities that we have done had more than probably, I would say, 100, 200 a set of participants, the entrepreneurs, to the cohorts, which tend to be somewhere between 15 to 30, to the constellation. Again, this is something, a terminology that I have coined and used myself. What it means is that it's a collection of stars. You have a set of startups, good startups. They are in probably a one batch or a cohort. However, their development is probably almost independent, because you really need to customize your activities for them. So I think those are the parameters and the kind of design kind of levers that you have, the degrees of freedom that you have, and for the specific objective, for the specific resources that you may have, and for the specific kind of limitations and the borders that you have, you probably will have to pick and choose the interventions that are most appropriate for it. A few quick considerations. So we saw that what essentially is it that we can pick and choose. How do you design this? How do you make them effective? Again, these are some of the quick important insights. These are by no means the exhaustive list of a kind of set of things that you need to do, but based on our experience, I think I would like to share some of these things. I would like also to spend a bit of time on this, because these tend to be very important for you, especially as incubation managers. I think you will have to, at one point or the other, will have to kind of think about these aspects. So what are these some of these key considerations? Availability of resources, as we saw. uh, uh, Obviously, the stage of your incubator, the experience, the kind of the resources that are available at your end, a certain set of activities you may or may not be able to do. So keep in mind what resources do you have available with you, including funding. The other one, the next consideration is domain specific or domain agnostic. Domain agnostic, good thing about is that you can have larger cohort sizes. You can cater to more number of startups at the same time. But at the same time, you will have to keep in mind that at least for the deep tech space where we work in, we have very, very kind of niche areas. I mentioned to you antimicrobial resistance, oncology, medical devices. Now, you cannot really uh, remove the deep tech nature of those ventures from something which is common across all the startups. So at some point, you will reach to a stage where you will have to become domain specific and create programs that are domain specific. However, generating those programs, creating, designing, and running those programs requires immense amount of, I would say, experience, as well as a good amount of network base and the resources that you may have. The third point I would like to discuss is sourcing. Um, Almost I'm sure every one of you at some point would have to justify that what has been the impact of your program. And obviously, I'm sure that most of us work very hard in terms of designing the elements. What are the key elements of the program? How do you kind of administer them? How do you run them? And so on. However, keep in mind that the uh, your impact will have that additional, I would say, strength if your baseline has been very strong, and therefore having the right set of startups introduced in the right set of programs is very important, and therefore sourcing of the right set of startups is very important. How do you do that? How are you going to do it? Is one of the key elements of any of the programs that you will design. um, uh, from our experience, the single most key element of success of any program is a strong a mentor, or the coaches, the mentors and the experts, especially in the niche deep tech areas such as life sciences. It's very important that we have the right set of mentors, and this is something that you can build in together. Either, I mean, as a new incubators, you probably will have to slowly build your network of mentors, and the platform which is Mighty Startup Hub and Tide 2.0 ecosystem would be a very good kind of place where you can seek help from if your own kind of mentor base is not large or the broad enough. um, uh, some of the other kind of, I would say, important aspects are ecosystem. I think much has been discussed already on this part. Peer-to-peer interaction, you probably may not realize or probably might not have experience, but the members of the cohort, those who are participating, the startups, you will see that especially in the more advanced programs, what we call the constellations, there is always a set of startups, a set of individual co-founders or the founders. They have more maturity, more experience, and there is amount of knowledge that really can transfer from within the peers, from within the peer startups, and leveraging and to be able to integrate those points in your program design is very important. And please keep that in mind, something that you can really leverage very easily from the base that you already have created within the startups. The next point is the competitive advantage. You probably would have seen that the number of accelerator programs, the number of boot camps, the number of, I would say, the mentorship kind of clinics, they are very, I think you would see that the numbers are increasing, and you will have to get good set of startups, the good cohort. You will have to have a competitive advantage in your program. And some of the ways in which this can be built, probably a funding is the most kind of popular way we have seen people have been able to people use, is to provide a part of the provide funding as a part of the your incubation or the acceleration or the growth programs is one of the ways. But what we have seen, and something again, I would like to go back to Mira's presentation. The money comes probably the last. If you have been able to do the first 4 aims quite well, I think the rest of the things will kind of come well. It is little difficult to convince, to be able to tell the startups the importance of a program without that, but it is still possible, especially in the niche areas. The expertise is equally important, and the curation, how you kind of structure and put the whole program together towards specific objective, is also can become your competitive advantage. So these are some of the key considerations. Please keep in mind that you will have to keep in, you will have to kind of put forward, work on it, and then put your package, the program together.